what's up guys? Amanda the Jedi here, and we are here today for the first episode ever of Did It Destroy My Childhood? And on today's episode, we're gonna be talking about Power Rangers and also maybe Beauty and the Beast, which might be in a different episode depending on how long I can talk about the Power Rangers for. And I know that series seems completely inspired and not at all because I was lazy and went to go see 2 movies instead of actually working on other things that I had to do. I hate myself. But anyways, Power Rangers, if you guys do or don't remember, back in October, I made a video about the trailer for Power Rangers and how I thought it was gonna be a bastardization of my childhood. So honestly, as every trailer continued to come out, I continued to be like, this looks stupid. But let's just say that I've been making fun of this movie for months, because I was a pretty big fan of the Power Rangers growing up. I have very fond memories, starting when I was about 4 or 5, before I was even in school, I used to watch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But I also know that the Power Rangers weren't like, they weren't amazing or anything. Like, it's one of these things, it's like Pokemon, but kind of worse actually with the formula. Like, every single episode's Rangers suit up, Rangers beat regular size monster. Rita's like, no, you beat my monster, let's make it bigger. She makes it bigger. They're like, fuck you, Rita, we're gonna get into the fucking Megazord and take you out. Every single episode. Every single episode. And I feel like when I watched the trailer for this, for them trying to say these are the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, these aren't just another variation of the Power Rangers, this isn't like a continuation of the Power Rangers series with different characters with the same kind of idea. These are the OG Power Rangers. You get your Jason, you get your Kimberly, like all of those characters. That's when I kind of got a little bit iffy about the whole situation because I'm like, this stuff already exists, man. You can't mess with it. You already ruined the freaking Ninja Turtles for me. Please leave the Power Rangers alone. I wasn't even planning on seeing this movie, but for my actual benefit, people were saying, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. I saw it. It wasn't that bad. But it's always people in my stream that tell me things are not that bad, and I have a viewer who liked Batman versus Superman, so I can't trust them. Now, some of my original concerns and complaints still ring true. I still think that the intro is a little bit iffy and definitely rings a little bit too close to Chronicle. But once you actually see the movie, they tie it in really well. They give you a little bit of a backstory that you never got in the original Power Rangers series because, like I mentioned, it was kind of more on the shallow side. You start off with the Rangers, here's some different characters that exist, and they just exist for a reason. You don't have any backstory as to why certain people are the way they are. This movie actually offers some of that up. In terms of the Rangers themselves, they were all pretty well acted. It wasn't like anything amazing, nothing to write Oscars about. Some of the lines were delivered super cheesy, but still not as bad as I thought it was going to be, which is a benefit. Keep in mind here, people, I went in thinking this was going to be absolutely terrible. If you were expecting this movie to be amazing, you might be disappointed, but we'll just keep going here. So overall, the character development I think was handled pretty well. Like, every character gets their own time to shine. Obviously, they shine certain characters a little bit more. You get a little bit more spotlight. Obviously on Jason, Kimberly gets quite a bit as well. And even Billy, who was my favorite character when I was a kid. I don't remember why. I just know that the Blue Ranger was my favorite when I was younger. Now, my biggest complaint about this entire thing, beyond just the fact that it was like, this is exactly like Chronicle, they blow up the side of a mountain, find their like Power Ranger stones, and then they have superpowers. That's exactly like Chronicle. My biggest complaint is that Rangers do not have powers outside the suits. They need those suits to have the powers. And it doesn't really make sense for them to have powers outside the suits. And then everybody's like, oh, but they could jump around and do all this crazy stuff. Because yeah, like half of them were acrobats and half of them were martial artists. Like there was a reason why they could do all this crazy shit outside the suits, but didn't have additional strength. I would have been okay if they had all just somehow known how to do all this crazy shit, because that's Power Rangers, but I'm not necessarily okay that they're accidentally like breaking things off walls and having like Spider-Man moments where like they break their taps and stuff. Like, it's not the Power Rangers, but again, if you kind of watch the movie, you'll understand why that progression is necessary. In a way, they probably could have found a different way around it, but it was still pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean like it appeased my issues with it to an extent. Getting into some of the actual like meat and depth of the characters. Now I know a lot of people were being like, yes, the Power Rangers, they're making it super diverse. You get characters of all different colors, all different backgrounds. One of them's gay. It's fantastic. And for a while I was like, yeah, but like just because you add diversity to a movie doesn't automatically make it good, doesn't automatically make it great. And sometimes it's just like, yeah, you guys love diversity, but they actually handled it really well. They kind of made a joke about it at one point, and it was handled well. It didn't seem like they did it just for the sake of being like, okay, no matter what else happens, no one will ever be able to say that this wasn't a diverse cast. Bryan Cranston, who played Zordon, actually had some moments that like straight up reminded me of Walter White in like the scary way, not in the fun way. He was still a good character, and that was not some kind of alluding to him being a bad guy. He was Still, he was Zordon, he's a good guy, but he just had, the way he delivered certain lines, I was like, so this is where Walter White ended up. This is where he is now. I should have done my research. I'm pretty sure it's Elizabeth Banks who played Rita Repulsa because everybody was like super worried about it. I think she did a great job actually. She was truly like terrifying in some moments for being more of a kid's character. She was still pretty campy in some of those ways, but it was believable. That's what we'll say. It was believable. Probably way more menacing than she was in the original, which that's not hard. Alpha 5. Alpha 5 was the real hero. I didn't even look it up. Who played him? Let's look it up. Bill Hader. I knew his voice sounded familiar. Real unsung hero of the entire movie. I would have, like, he was fantastic. Like, the second he gets on screen, he was amazing. He was funny. He delivered his lines really well. I know that, like, quippy robots are kind of, like, they're in this here because we've already had Rogue One. It was great. I don't even care if that's becoming a thing now where we have these, like, quippy robots. I'm okay with it if it's funny. And he was hilarious. He was fantastic. Like, I would go see it again just to hear some of his lines delivered because he did such a good job with it. We are losing daylight because I was a lazy person today. The lighting is getting not paramount. Honestly, him alone was like a fantastic reason to see the movie. So obviously, like I said, they kind of took this more like dark, gritty, realistic take on it, as was pretty obvious from the trailers. But the second they actually get in the Ranger suits, it becomes the like cheesiest, campiest thing ever. Like, it almost gets too much. It's like, okay, you guys have forced this realism, this like nice little timeline of grittiness going up to this point, and then you're just like, you're literally like puking cheese into our face. Not literally, but you know, it's just like the camp hits you. And it's kind of nice, but it's also kind of jarring, because it's like if you'd gone all the way in that direction from the beginning, I would understand. They had actually just waited until they get into the Zords. It would have been okay, but like it goes even a little bit further once they get into the Zords. They actually have this really nice moment where they play like the original theme song, which was actually really nice. But the second they're all in the Ranger suits, it's like, bam, camp. Now there's two different subsets I could go on. Okay, let's stick with the Zords first, then we'll go to music. So the Zords, all of them looked really good, except it took me at least like 10 minutes of on-screen time to actually tell that the Mastodon was a Mastodon. I was like, when the hell was there a rhino in the original Zords? Like, aren't there all supposed to be like prehistoric creatures? Like, it's supposed to be a mastodon. And then finally, after like it got close enough, I was like, it is. It's just like the trunk is not actually coming. It looked like a rhino. I realized that it was in fact what it was, so all is good there. It just took me a little bit too long. Now back to the music. They straight up rip off the Stranger Things theme song. That right there, the poster's right there. They straight up rip off the do 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 with the same like 80s instrumentation style sound. They straight up rip that off for like 90% of the music in this movie. It's like, I don't even know, it's like their reoccurring theme. Instead of trying to make some like neat variation on the original theme song, which maybe that's what they were trying to do, it didn't come off as that. It sounded like they were ripping off the Stranger Things theme song, and it was kind of weird. Every time it happened, I would just get really jarred and pulled out of the moment. So I'm gonna say that it's infinitely better than the Ninja Turtles and like maybe just below the first Transformers, but maybe you might like it more than that one, because a lot of people really hate that first Transformers. But I thought it was pretty good. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, because I thought it was going to be a steaming pile of shit. Like there's really no way around it. That's exactly what I thought it would be. I enjoyed watching it. I would not mind seeing it again, and that's usually the mark of something that wasn't a steaming pile of shit. So good job, guys. Based on the timer that we've been going on for about this movie, I'm gonna say that there is not in fact time to talk about Beauty and the Beast, so we're gonna have another episode of Did It Ruin My Childhood coming very soon. And I guess to finish that off, did it ruin my childhood? No. No, it didn't. Good job. Seal of approval. Did not ruin my childhood. Did it ruin your childhood? I don't know. You're gonna have to see it yourself. Power Rangers in theaters now. Worldwide, I assume.